Today, for a change, I thought I would upload something that's a bit more recent. Instead of it being the usual oil pastel portraits that I've been uploading recently, I thought I would share a watercolour painting. This is one that I painted plein air with my mum at a lovely place called Bodnant Gardens. So here it is. We started off by finding a nice bench to sit and paint something relatively simple. We've done this once before where we sat down and painted a fountain in the middle of a kind of garden section. In fact, it's all garden sections. It's a beautiful National Trust park, and last time we were there we painted something for an hour, and it was tricky because it was trying to capture so much on the surface that you just spend a lot of time trying to get somewhere, and it can be very difficult. Plein air is a very, very tricky way to paint, but I really love it. I really do enjoy being out and painting things in person. It makes you focus on what is important, and it hones your skills of being able to analyze a subject and to try and concentrate on what you want as an outcome for a painting. And today's example that I'm going to be sharing with you that I painted is one which I actually changed course on the outcome that I wanted partway through, which is perfectly fine. And if anything, you should reassess several times whilst you're making a piece on the direction which you're going to see if you're satisfied with the results that you are finding throughout. But I always find that something that's really complicated, like any kind of plants, I just try to get an approximation. You can never get something really accurate, especially when you're sat there in person trying to paint and observe and describe something in paint, in pencil, whatever it is that you have. It's going to be too difficult. There are so many different parts to it, and textures and tones and different angles to capture, so it's just certain things need to be included, and I missed a lot when it came to doing my painting, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lovely sunny day. It was a fairly secluded spot. It was cordoned off on one side and not on another. It was like a little hidden corridor, and there were trellis all along the side with plants growing, so we decided to focus on that to paint a plant next to this trellis. And initially I painted in the side of the trellis some of the shapes, the little triangles, to suggest the gaps between the trellis bars. And after getting a bit further along, I changed my mind on that finish. They would be two completely different paintings, but there are several ways that you can make a watercolour painting, and one of which would be to stain the whole page with a tone of some kind very lightly and then build on top of that tone. So I could have done a really light blue wash, very, very light, and then just tonally bring it up more and more. But I thought that because we only had limited time, I didn't want to wait for it to dry for too long, so I ended up just laying down a watery pink colour, which was the colour of the flowers. But because that's so light, I actually should have built on that with stronger pinks throughout, and instead I used a cutting in technique to paint around it and design the shapes from the outside in. It's something which I really enjoy doing because it can be very illustrative in its technique, because you are drawing something but you're drawing the negative space, and I really do relish in the opportunity to do that, because it again takes a lot of skill and experience to do that well, which I'm still trying to perfect, or at least learn better, but it's something which I won't give up on no matter how many times I try and fail. It's just a beautiful way of trying to advance in your understanding of painting, is to try out different techniques and methods that you come across. So for this painting, I didn't quite heighten the pink colour of the flowers, nor did I capture the composition that I was looking at, but at least I managed to describe something on the surface, which is partly what your job is to do, is to take something away instead of a photograph. And I don't have a photograph of what I was looking at. You see a glimpse at the beginning of the video of what I was seeing, and that's all I think I need, is just a little glimpse here and there, and then from that point on, it's the experience, the memory, and the painting is what I take away from it. The colours from watercolour are so beautiful that I make sure that I don't leave them too strong. I do try to water a lot of them down and then make one colour pop. But again, it's never going to be, well, not never, but at the moment it's not going to be something truly effective until I get to that point where I can really master the time that I have and utilize it well enough to really harness the skills that are built up and create something great in the moment. It was a very nice subject to paint. There were lots of leaves, there were bits of flowers, and then there were bulbs or some kind of pods that hadn't quite bloomed yet. So those were really nice shapes as well to include. So there were lots of different things that were enjoyable to try and put into there. And I think that painting things like this are just going to add to your repertoire later on. And people weren't nosying too much into the painting that we were doing, which was also a nice thing, because as much as I don't mind people being curious, it's also nice to feel tucked away and not attracting attention and not being distracted by any passers-by, because you really do want that singular focus of working on the painting and observing the flowers or whatever it is that you've decided to focus on. And that's what I was enjoying that day. It was very sunny, it was lovely. What I'd done is get this adjustable arm for holding my phone and wrap that around my neck, and just loosely, and then use the grip which holds the phone to look down and film what I was doing. It means that the camera isn't especially steady because I just set it up and then start painting, so it does wobble quite a lot, but it's still at least capturing what I'm doing whilst I'm out and about, because I couldn't set up a tripod or anything more steady than this because it was just too bulky to pack things like that. So if I want to travel light, then I will take a smaller bag and just this adjustable arm, because it's all very flexible and I can just bend it and use it that way. And it's just basically a metal bar that will bend and contort into different shapes, and it's perfect for doing jobs like this. But for being at a place like a National Trust park and being able to create a piece of artwork as well as enjoying the grounds and really soaking up the sun whilst it's still warm was just made for a lovely day. And there was very nice plants and flowers there that I want to go back and paint all the time, but it changes throughout the seasons, so you have to try to take advantage of these times when you can sit down and try to describe something on a sketchbook or a canvas or whatever you have to hand. And I really do recommend it. If you haven't tried plein air painting, then it is a wonderful experience. It really is so beneficial for art practice, but don't expect great results because it's so much pressure and you're using a lot of energy to concentrate on what you're doing and create something. And whilst you're in public, it can just be that much more tiring and trying to yourself, to your concentration and to your efforts, and it will just be exhausting to spend very long doing it. Even professional painters who I speak to very often will say the longest they paint for is 2.5 to 3 hours. I find after 2 hours I'm really taking away and detracting from the painting, and in the first hour you've captured a lot of what you really need at the most, and it could probably be argued even less than that. But this session was 1 hour in total, and it was just a really nice way to try and grow a little bit to describe something as well as possible, and I've even included in this video a little image to show you the finished painting of mine and the one by my mum, as well as some pictures of flowers and the grounds. I do like to try and film walking through parts of the grounds, so at the start of the video it was walking through what is the Laberna March, but it was past the point where it had all bloomed. I filmed it throughout the years and photographed it several times, but I find that it's always interesting because of the perspective whilst walking down that corridor. And just like that, there are lovely straight pathways to walk down and lots of different things to enjoy and look at. The views are stunning, and it is just a lovely treat to go and visit places like this. And it even has a little art gallery itself, so it really is very nice. And I look forward to going back there and doing another painting again. It's always great fun and really beneficial. So that's it. That is the submission for the day. I'll see you tomorrow.